Happy Saturday, friends. JT and I are on our way to Reno to visit one of our local bookstores, Thistle and Nightshade. So I thought I would take you along for the ride. We stopped off in Northwest Reno, Verdi area to go to Mel's Diner at Boomtown for lunch. So I'm hanging out in the nice warm air. It's been pretty hot up here. It's actually in the upper 90s today. But as you can see, it's pretty cool up here. JT and I just got home from our bookstore outing. So as you can see, I have a bag from Thistle and Nightshade. And probably before this, I'm thinking, once I put all the little clips together of what we did today, so probably before we get to this point in the video, you will have seen at least a small amount of footage of one of the rooms at Thistle and Nightshade because they were very busy today, which is awesome. So Thistle and Nightshade is in Northwest Reno. It's off of Mayan. So if you are local to the area, definitely go check them out. They have a great little vibe. And let's see. So I did something I've never done before. This is a blind date with a book. So it says, Darius looked around the club, taking in the teeming half-naked bodies on the dance floor. That sounded intriguing. Along with the blind date book, there was also a little bag of goodies. There's a bookmark. It says read local Nevada authors, which is exciting because obviously JT and I are local Northern Nevada authors. And on the back of this bookmark, there are book covers for local authors. So that's fun. It also came with a pen. And let's see here, we have some stickers. Says a reader without their Kindle is a tragedy. Easily distracted by cats and books. The reader. So, oops. This looks like a tarot card. And brains are stupid. Plus, there are little sticky index tabs. So that's pretty cool. That came with the blind date with the book. So let's find out which book this is. I have no idea based on the quote. I went for a romance because that's mostly what I've been writing recently. Also, Alex did a great job of wrapping these. She's got little washi tape on it and everything, so that's pretty cool. But let's see. Yeah, I guess there's not really any good way to get this out without destroying the wrapping. There we go. So this is J.R. Ward's Dark Lover. Return to where it all began in the first novel in the phenomenal Black Dagger Brotherhood series by #1 New York Times bestselling author J.R. Ward. The only purebred vampire left on the planet and the leader of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Wrath has a score to settle with the slayers who killed his parents centuries ago. But when his most trusted fighter is killed, orphaning a half-breed daughter unaware of her heritage or her fate, Wrath must put down his dagger and usher the beautiful female into another world. Racked by a restlessness in her body that wasn't there before, Beth Randall is helpless against the dangerously sexy man who comes to her at night with shadows in his eyes. His tales of the Brotherhood and blood frighten her, yet his touch ignites a dawning new hunger, one that threatens to consume them both. So, Dark Lover by J.R. Ward, which, and apparently there is a series on Passionflix. So, if you're into that kind of thing, I will definitely be reading this soon. So that's cool. A book that I probably would not have tried. And then the other things that I got, let's see here. I do like their little bag with the logo for Thistle Nightshade. And then I got a mystery sticker pack. So I chose Witchy and Angry. And let's see if I can actually get this open without destroying it too much. They had a lot of fun little bookmarks and things in there and sticker packs and all that good stuff. So JT and I had a great time browsing. They also had a lot of food. They got sandwiches and cookies and things for their visitors. So Thistle and Nightshade was a great place to visit. We have been there before, and we'll definitely be going back. So this sticker says, hexes are for Republicans. A little bit on the political side there. And also, let's see, this is the Holly Bones Creative. So it's a Mothman sticker. So that's all the fun stuff that I got at Thistle and Nightshade. And all of this, so they had 20% off deal for their book lovers weekend because they were just opening their expansion. So all of this cost me just a little tiny bit over $20, which was awesome. And then we did go to Between the Covers Book Bar. Now, we didn't take any footage in there. They were so crowded, and it was really not our vibe. It was definitely a very curated experience, that something that's not really meant for the demographic that JT and I fit in. We feel much more comfortable at places like Thistle and Nightshade. And the other bookstore we went to today, which again was our local favorite, Bub's Bookstore. So they have a used bookshelf, and I love going through that thing. So I found this hardback. It's called The World of Laura Ingalls Wilder. And since I've been writing 19th century, I'm really in that mindset. So this is the frontier landscapes that inspired the Little House books. And a couple of years ago, when JT and I did our cross-country trip, we did go through South Dakota, not too far away from DeSmet, where the Ingalls lived for some time. So I got this book. It is a hardcover. It's in really good shape, and it was on the $5 bookshelf. So I was pretty excited about that. I love these kind of books. I was actually kind of looking for a biography, but this is close because it's not about Laura Ingalls Wilder herself, but it's about the world that she lived in. And then JT got himself a sticker that says, diversity makes us smarter, stronger, better. So we got more stickers for our Chromebooks. We were wearing our equality shirts. And also you will have probably seen by this point that I snuck in a little footage of where JT and I had lunch. We stopped off at Boomtown, which is in Verdi, to the northwest of Reno, going into the Sierra Nevada. It's just before you really head into the mountains on I-80. You will also have seen that there was a little bit of smoke in the footage because it looked like a fire had just started, but we saw a couple of helicopters and a tanker plane flying around there trying to get that out. And by the time we were heading back from Thistle and Nightshade, it did not look like it was spreading too quickly. It looked like they might have not had it under control, but they were at least keeping it from spreading too much, which is good because it has been so hot and dry here. I'm sitting not too far away from the sump hole in our basement, and it is completely dry at this point. Whereas earlier, I mean, probably as late as June, we had maybe a foot to 2 feet of water in the sump hole because we do have a high water table here. So things are very dry because it is completely dried up. That means our water table has dropped again. And we have had a couple of very dry years. So fires, thankfully, we have not had a lot of fires yet this year. The smoke that we saw today was one of the few things that JT and I have seen for ourselves recently, which is a good sign. And hopefully that continues because we are forecast to have some heat and at least for the next few days before we drop back down into the 80s by, I think, middle to the end of next week. But that was a tangent I went off on because we were heading from Thistle and Nightshade to the west to Boomtown, which is in Verdi. And Boomtown is a large casino. It's one of the either the first places as you're coming into Nevada, one of them. It's not the first, but it's close. And it is one of the last places if you're leaving Reno. So not the last one, but close to. And it is a huge complex. There's a hotel, there's a casino, and they have a Mel's Diner. And one of the things that I'd forgotten is that this weekend is Hot August Nights. So Reno is known for classic cars. With the Mel's Diner footage, you would have seen they have a lot of photos of American graffiti there. And that's the time period, for the most part, that Hot August Nights is attracting. They are starting to get classic cars from the 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s at this point, which I find depressing. But a lot of them are from the 60s, 50s, and 60s. That would have been the American graffiti time period. And trivia, which I've mentioned in previous videos, but this goes together with the American graffiti vibe, is that I grew up in Modesto, California, and that's where George Lucas was from. George Lucas obviously did American Graffiti. That was his movie. So I was familiar with the area where George Lucas grew up. And Modesto was a great place to live when I was a kid. And then when I was a volunteer coordinator at the Reno Film Festival, we had a screening of American Graffiti one year. I believe that one we may have held at the National Auto Museum in Reno, which is not too far from the Reno Aces ballpark. And several of the celebrity guests included, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I know for a fact Cindy Williams was there. I think Charles Martin Smith may have been there. Paul Lamont and Candy Clark. And if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll remember that I have mentioned this story before, but my thought was that I would allow the people who worked for me as volunteers, they would take the tickets for the showings of the different movies. And then once the tickets were done, I would take over the ticket place because normally there wouldn't be that many stragglers, and allow them to go in and watch the movie. And the celebrity guests would introduce the movie. They might do a question and answer period. So normally when that was happening, I would be sitting out at the table in front of the theater. So as was my policy, basically, I'd sent my volunteers in to watch the movie and I was sitting at the table, and the celebrities had done their bit. So I think it was Paul Lamont and Candy Clark that were there at that time, maybe Cindy Williams as well. And one of the other volunteers, one of the board members, because I was also a board member on the film festival, one of the other board members came out and we were kind of chatting, and they mentioned to the celebrity guests that I was the volunteer coordinator. So I was actually applauded by the celebrity guests, which I'm still tickled about to this day. I mean, how often do you have people like Cindy Williams applauding you for basically just volunteering for something? So that was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed dealing with the Reno Film Festival. It doesn't exist in the way it did when I was involved in that, unfortunately. But we still do have Hot August Nights in Reno every August. It's usually the first week of the month. It kicks off in Virginia City, which would have been last weekend. And then there are classic cars everywhere. So Interesting that today JT and I went to Reno and we only saw two classic cars on the road. One of them was a car that I found at Boomtown, and the other one we saw parked off on the side of the road. It looked like somebody was trying to sell it, and it was an old hot rod, circa kind of American Graffiti. One of the drivers, I believe it was Harrison Ford's character, was in a similar model of car. And it's also the type of model, I don't remember which one specifically, but a lot of people turn them into what they call rat rods, which is a whole different, I know about rat rods, but I don't know enough to tell you the background of it. So if you're interested, you should definitely look up rat rods. But so there was a lot going on in Reno today. We somehow managed to miss all of the cars. We did see, or I did see, because JT was driving, I did see some of the cars that had been parked in the parking lot of the Grand Sierra, which is in central Reno. It's near well, not really central Reno. It's near the I-580 Interstate 80 interchange, and it is a huge complex. It's very close to the Reno Tahoe International Airport. So if anybody has flown into Reno, you will have seen the big hotel there. They're doing a major expansion right now, but I believe they also host some of the Hot August Nights events. So in what little parking area they had left in the west side of their property, there were a lot of vintage cars parked, and I could see, not very well because we passed pretty quickly, but I could see some of the cars. And it's funny looking at cars that are considered so historic and vintage when those were the ones I grew up with. I remember riding in the back of those old school station wagons where we didn't care about the seat belts. I would lay in the back of the cargo area. My grandparents had a Vista Cruiser, and I think I've also mentioned that story before, where I would lay in the back of the Vista Cruiser, which had the curved windows at the top. So it gave you an opportunity to see more of your surroundings. And we were driving through Reno for some reason. I don't remember where we were going because we would have lived in California at the time. But we were driving in North Reno near the University of Nevada. And there is a planetarium there called the Fleischmann Planetarium. And at that point, it was a solo structure on a hill kind of all by itself overlooking the campus. And I was in the back of the Vista Cruiser. There was a thunderstorm. So I have very distinct memories of that because it was such a striking image. And then seeing a car similar to that lined up for Hot August Nights in the classic car category. That's why I'm saying if they're going into the 90s, and who knows at this point, maybe even the 2000s, depending on what model of car it is, they may be considered classic cars at this point. That's just a frightening thought. And JT and I did take a drive back in a route that we don't normally take anymore. And I don't know quite how I'm going to do this video because I took a lot of footage of the drive. I think I'll probably just show you that footage with really no sound over it because basically it's noisy in the car. We had the air conditioning going. JT and I were chatting, and unfortunately it's also a little bit bumpy, but you at this point in the video you will have already seen the footage of the drive back and forth to Reno. The drive up we took I-580, which is the more direct route, but the drive back we took Old Highway 395. 580 is also 395, so they moved it over a little bit, and we went through the more scenic part through Pleasant Valley. We took a turn near Bowers Mansion and took an area called Franktown Road. So you will have seen, you'll see Washoe Lake, you'll see a lot of pine trees, evergreen trees, because it skirts the edge of the Sierra Nevada on the west side of Washoe Valley. And it's very pretty. You will also have seen there is a well-known local place called the Chocolate Nugget. There are two locations. There's one in Washoe Valley, and then there is one on the way up to Virginia City. And they do excellent candy, obviously chocolates. And the prospector statue, if you saw that, that would have been part of the Chocolate Nugget. So we went through and we were looking at all these sites that we remember so fondly from visiting my husband's grandmother, because she lived in West Reno, and we used to drive back and forth from Carson City quite a bit, more than 30 years ago now, when our kids were little. And we would go to visit her normally on a Sunday. We'd go to have breakfast with her. and it was a bit of a Sunday drive through some pretty countryside. So the footage you will have seen of the drive back and forth to Reno. The drive up, like I said, would be the modern version. That's the I-580 395 current uh, direct route, basically between Carson City and Reno. The more scenic route that you will have seen after that is the old 395, goes from South Virginia down into Washoe Valley, around Bowers Mansion, Franktown Road, and then up the hill and into Carson City. So we took a little trip down memory lane while we were out visiting our local bookstores, and we had a really great time. Part of the reason we were out so much is that it really didn't cool off last night, so the house has been very stuffy, which is why I'm down in the basement again, because JT is upstairs with the air conditioner running and it's a bit noisy up there. So it's cooler down here and quieter, and I thought I would come down here to finish off my video. I am kind of drenched in sweat, and I apologize. I've got my microphone here, so if I bumped it, I apologize for that. But it's summer, the dog days are here. It's hot. It's going to stay hot for the next few days. It's not cooling off at night, so we're doing what we can to keep cool. And one of the things that we did was to drive around quite a bit. We have a very nice RAV4 that we call Herbie, and Herbie has wonderful air conditioning. So while we were driving around, we were avoiding feeling the heat and the stuffiness of being in our poor house. But and we may do a few more outings over the coming days as we're in the upper 90s, maybe into the hundreds, because it's going to be toasty, and before it drops back down into the 80s again. So that's probably our bookstore visits for now. We did leave a brochure of our books at Thistle and Nightshade to see if maybe they want to carry them. I think initially they did have maybe a copy of Sheriff in Nevada and a copy of Zoe, but those are long gone because that's got to have been well over a year ago. And we'll see if they want to carry any of our books. They do like to support local authors, which is awesome. And so does Bub's Bookstore. So I was actually having a talk with Rob about whether I might do a release for Battleborn Bride there as well, maybe on Nevada Day. But that's not set in stone. That's just an initial discussion we had. There are a couple other local authors that are having an event there that day. So we don't want to steal their thunder and kind of usurp their place. We're going to check with them and see if they'd be interested in having a joint signing, or if they would prefer that we not do it that day, because I can basically do it anytime in October. I'm already doing a release on the 18th at the Riverside Gallery in Reno. Like I said, I will be talking more about that as I get closer to the event, but still finalizing Battleborn Bride. I did get through my final double check of the edits. I got all of the comments out of there and made sure everything was copacetic, you might say, and added a couple thousand words in the process. So it finished off at around 52,000. That's still pretty, it's a small novel, a short novel, you might say, but it is hopefully a quick read, which a lot of people would prefer to have a quick read over something like a doorstop because they might have limited time. So I'm hopeful that people who are not huge fans of historic fiction, who might be interested in dabbling in historic fiction, I'm hoping this book will appeal to them. And if it does, I may end up writing something that's a little bit more dense in the future with more of the history included. But doing my revisions on this final draft of the book, I didn't cringe too much. As the author of the book, it's always cringeworthy to go back and reread what you've written. But I didn't cringe too much. It is completely different from my initial version, and that's a good thing. I had a lot of input from my beta readers and my editors, my proofreaders. So a lot of work has gone into this book, and I'm finalizing the back matter now. So I'm not 100% sure it will be on pre-sale on Monday, but I will be doing the pre-sale early in the week and doing the book cover reveal, which I do have my book cover as well. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of character art based on my book cover that will go along with the book. So I hope to have all of that ready to go in October, hopefully by the end of September, really. But if I can get the ebook up for pre-sale this coming week. That's plenty of time. I will be marketing, and as I've mentioned before, I will do a playlist on marketing because I have some plans for that. And then I will also be um, talking more about the extra items. I'm going to do a book specific bookmark for it with a QR code that will link to the book. I'm also going to be doing some character art, so I may have cards, and I might do little trivia questions that go along with the book as well, because I can do some Nevada trivia based on the time period that I'm covering, because it does cover the Nevada Constitutional Conventions of 1863 and 1864. So there is a lot more that I will be doing in relation to this book over the coming months. And if you're interested in that, I hope you do follow along. At this point, this video is going to be incredibly long. I think whatever footage I clipped together from the drive back and forth to Reno, I'm probably going to shorten it. Like I said, you will have seen a little bit of Thistle and Nightshade. We didn't take any video in either Between the Covers or Bubs, but I have done videos about Bubs previously, and I'm sure we will be doing more of them in the future. So we're not neglecting them in any sense of the imagination. And also, I don't think the Between the Covers really needs any help because they were crowded. And I feel uncomfortable recording when there are a lot of people in a place, which is why I only got one room at Thistle and Nightshade, because it was pretty crowded. And I managed to catch a room when there was nobody else in it. So you get the general idea of what it looks like, what their expansion looks like. And hopefully that will be enough for you for right now. So I thank you for joining me. Today was quite a mishmash of things, but I hope you enjoyed the drive and the bookstores and my blind date with a book here and all the sticker haul and everything. So I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on that adventure. And let me know what you're reading. Are you reading anything fun? I'd be interested. And I will keep you posted when I finish this book. I'll tell you what I think of it, because this is not my normal read. And it's fun that I can also, if I want to, annotate, because I've never really annotated a book. I have written in textbooks, but I don't really do that in my fiction books. So we'll see if I actually do that this time around. But in the meantime, I hope you are having a good weekend so far. As I record this, it is Saturday, August 8th, 2026. I will be going to visit my kids tomorrow because my grandkids are going back to school on Monday. So I'm not sure how much of a video I will have for you. It may just be a short because it's going to be another long day out and about. So today may be my long video for the weekend, and then I'll get back to normal on Monday. Also, one final thing, we are still competing in the America's Favorite Couple competition. As I record this, today is 2 times votes. So if you are watching this and you have voted for us, or if you would like to vote for us, if you could do that today, it would be awesome. We are still sitting in 4th place, and to advance to the next round, we have to be in either 1st or 2nd. So I don't know that that's going to happen. We have not moved from 4th place for weeks. So this may be it for us. But if you could go check out the link or share the link with others, I would really appreciate it. We would like to try to continue on for at least a little bit longer. But if we don't, it's been a great ride so far. And like I've mentioned, I may do more about that in the coming week as we get to this coming Thursday, maybe our last opportunity to get more votes in that competition. So we are still doing the America's Favorite Couple competition. Anyway, back to, hope you're having a wonderful weekend so far. If your kids are going back to school soon, I hope you've gotten all your shopping out of the way and that the weather isn't too bad where you are, because it's going to be a little hot for our kids and grandkids. But hopefully the school's air conditioning is working well. And I'll chat with you again soon. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. Take care.